Kevin couldn't believe what his daughter's new car smelled like. It was disgusting, like old milk left out. It was now like he could taste it. Where did this odor come from? There wasn't anything weird in the car when he searched it, but then he realized there was one place he hadn't looked yet, the glove box. He had a bad feeling about this. Kevin Duke raised his daughter on his own. He did what he could to provide a full life for Louisa and worked long, hard hours as a handyman. He put much of his money away for his daughter, so when he showed her something that he worked hard for and thought she'd love, he didn't know what would come of it. Soon things wouldn't be the same. Louisa was his world. He paid no expense for her. She was a daddy's girl and would always be his daughter, even when she turned 16. Just before her 16th birthday, Kevin had a great surprise for her. He wanted it to be a birthday she'd remember forever, and she would remember it all right, but not for the reasons that Kevin thought she would. Kevin planned everything and made sure it would be the best birthday ever. She would get an amazing birthday cake, but also a surprise in the form of a secondhand car. Kevin looked everywhere to find the best deal for his daughter. After a few days, he had finally found it, or so he thought. Kevin was proud of the find for his daughter. He knew she'd welcome the freedom that came with driving a car. This was her special day, after all. She would bear the widest grin as soon as she laid eyes on the car. But what would be in the glove box is what would set off a chain of events that Kevin could never have foreseen. Buying a second-hand car was always a little risky, so when Kevin found this one, he made sure that it looked to be in good order. He even test drove it. Everything seemed perfect. The engine didn't make any weird sounds and ran smoothly as far as he could see. But there was something hidden away in the car that Kevin never anticipated. Kevin noticed that the salesman was nervous. He just thought that he really wanted to make the sale. After thinking about it for a few minutes, Kevin finally decided what he'd do. He was going to buy it. He shook hands with the salesman and drove it back home. It still seemed in good working order, but there was something awful right next to him that he didn't know about. With her birthday just around the corner, Kevin hid it away in the garage. He knew that Louisa had no reason to go in there. Her big day was almost upon them. Kevin could hardly wait. He felt the anticipation of giving her the present. He had to be patient and wait though. But no one could have foreseen what was going to happen. It had finally arrived. It was Louisa's birthday, and Kevin was ready to greet her at the bottom of the stairs when she woke up. He had balloons in one hand and a grin on his face. He couldn't believe she was already growing up. He gave her the biggest hug imaginable and told her that her present was waiting just outside. He had no idea how the day was going to pan out. Louisa laid eyes on a car with a bow tied on it. She grinned widely as Kevin yelled out that it was hers. She couldn't believe it. This was the best present she'd ever gotten. She ran over to the door and jumped into the driver's seat. But he noticed that his daughter's wide grin turned to a frown. What was wrong? "What's wrong?" Kevin asked. "It smells. Can you smell it?" Louisa replied, her lips pouting. Kevin poked his head in the car and straight away he retched in disgust. He held his nose while his daughter scrambled out and slammed the door. The father and daughter duo had no idea what they were about to uncover. Kevin and his daughter looked at each other, feeling both stumped and freaked out by the terrible smell in the car. Kevin bit the bullet and headed back inside the car to find the source of the smell, but he had no idea what else he would find hidden away. Kevin jumped inside the car and looked around to try and find something that looked unusual, but everything was as it was when he left it a few days prior after picking it up. He looked under the seats, but there was nothing strange there. Next, he checked the dashboard, and as soon as he opened it, he was lost for words at what was inside. Kevin's mouth dropped wide open when he realized that at the bottom of the glove box was a protective rubber mat, and it had something lurking underneath. Before taking a deep breath, he pulled the mat and saw a letter fall out. How did this get here? Did somebody put it here? Kevin picked up the letter and a shiver ran up his spine. Kevin became more alarmed when he saw the letter was addressed to the new car owner. Did that mean him? Hundreds of questions flooded Kevin's mind. as he sat clutching the mysterious letter he found in the glove box. Should he even open it? Who was it from? What did it say? There was only one way to find out. Without a second to waste, he started to rip open the letter. The letter started by saying, "To the person who gets this car, you have got a very special vehicle. This car holds a lot of memories for me. I hope it's the best car you've ever had, and I want it to run for 100 years. Kevin continued reading, and with each line of text he read, his heart gushed with emotion. This letter was heartbreaking. Kevin never in a million years would have thought buying a car would result in him receiving a letter like this. So what did this meaningful letter say? Kevin's fingers gripped the letter as he continued reading. This car belonged to my beloved mom. She passed away on the 25th February 2015 in a house fire with my 6-year-old daughter and aunt. Kevin found out that this letter was from a woman called Sabrina Archie. Unfortunately, her daughter, mom, and aunt had passed away in a house fire and was forced to sell the car due to financial difficulties. But this car was more than just a car to Sabrina. The small, rundown car was something that held so many incredible and monumental memories for Sabrina. It was where she and her family sang along to their favorite song. It was where Sabrina changed far too many diapers in the back seat. This car was also the only item of her mother's that wasn't destroyed in the fire. As Kevin continued to read the letter, he could feel a lump in his throat, and his eyes started to well up. His daughter, who was also reading the letter from behind, consoled her dad. Kevin felt awful that he bought something that meant so much more to someone else. He finished reading, and ridden with guilt, he knew exactly what to do. And they found the source of the smell, too. Kevin posted the letter and the incident online on a social media page called Love What Matters. Within a matter of hours, Kevin, the letter, and Sabrina's story had gone viral. Thousands of people expressed their sympathy for Sabrina. Even Sabrina herself saw the post, but nobody, not even Sabrina, could have expected what would happen next. Due to the attention Sabrina was getting from Kevin's post, many people from all across the globe got in touch and donated money in order for her to get back her old car. Incredibly, Sabrina managed to do just that. Sabrina received thousands of dollars, which meant she was finally able to buy back her old car. But what about Kevin? For Kevin, he didn't mind saying goodbye to his daughter's new car. In fact, he was glad that Sabrina was getting it back. After all, this car wasn't just a car for Sabrina, it was something so much more. Having her car back enabled Sabrina to let go of the past and take a big leap into the not-so-scary future. And for the first time, Sabrina was